Here is the manager of the Pirates, number 40, Danny Murtaugh. Batting first, playing second base, number 30, Dave Cash. Batting second, playing third base, number 20, Richie Hebner. Batting third, playing right field, number 21, Roberto Clemente. Batting fourth, playing left field, number 8, Willie Stargell. Batting fifth, playing center field, number 16, Al Oliver. Batting sixth, playing first base, number 7, Bob Robertson. Batting seventh, catching for Pittsburgh, number 35, Manny Sanguillen. Batting eighth, the shortstop, number 2, Jack Hernandez. Batting ninth, and pitching for the Orioles this afternoon, number 22, Jim Palmer, warming up on the sidelines. And here are the remaining players and coaches of the Baltimore Orioles.
The umpires are scattering now. We have 6 umpires assigned to today's game. Ed Sudol is behind the plate. Johnny Rice umpiring at first. Ed Bargo at second. Jim Odom at third. Umpiring the left field line will be John Kibler, and working the right field line, Nestor Shylock. And I'm going to quickly give you the batting orders. I know many of you, not only around America, but around the world now, keep score. Dave Cash will be leading off for the Pirates at second. Richie Hebner's at third, batting number 2. Roberto Clemente in right field, hitting third. Willie Stargell in left field, batting cleanup. Al Oliver in center field, hitting fifth. Bob Robertson at first base, batting sixth. There's Mrs. Nixon, the First Lady.
Is Mrs. Richard Nixon.
Mrs. Richard Nixon
David
being introduced.
And Julie Eisenhower.
And David and Julie Eisenhower, the Commissioner of Baseball, Bowie Kuhn, right and back, and Mrs. Kuhn, and back Mrs. Nixon. If the president is looking in, Earl Weaver wants to know where his telephone call is. He hasn't heard yet, he says. He's won 15 in a row. Everybody's kidding him now in the dugout, Mr. President. How many do you have to win? Well, they told him he had to win the World Series. Completing that Pirate batting order, Bob Robertson batting sixth at first base. Manny Sanguillen is catching, hitting seventh. Jack Hernandez, the shortstop, batting eighth, and Bob Johnson batting ninth. And the Orioles have Buford in left leading off. Redmond in center, batting number 2. Powell, that's Ellie Hendricks, shaking the hand of the First Lady. Frank Robinson in right field, batting cleanup. Hendricks catching, hitting fifth. Brooks Robinson at third, batting sixth. Dave Johnson at second, batting seventh. Belanger, the shortstop, hitting eighth, and Palmer batting ninth. Mrs. Nixon has the honor of throwing out the first ball. Rube Marquardt was supposed to, but Mrs. Nixon now will throw out the first ball of game 2.
Nixon.
Pretty accurate arm. That's a strike. And always one more for the cameras. Very good. So game 2 of the 1971 World Series is being brought to you from Baltimore as the Orioles meet the Pirates. The Baltimore Orioles break on the field. And here to carry you for the first 4.5 innings play-by-play is the fine broadcaster of the Orioles, Mr. Chuck Thompson.
Thank you very much, Curt, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The Orioles take the field in Game 2, and the weather in Baltimore absolutely ideal. Defensively, here is first baseman Boog Powell, John Wesley Powell, the second baseman Dave Johnson, and the Baltimore shortstop Mark Belanger, and third baseman Brooks Robinson. The left fielder is Don Buford, and Baltimore's center fielder Merv Rettenmund, and right fielder Frank Robinson. The catcher again today for Baltimore will be Elrod Hendricks, and on the mound is Jim Palmer. His best pitch, his out pitch, is the fastball. He does have a good curveball. He will, on occasion, use a slider. However, Palmer went through about 1/2 of the Oriole campaign without really getting interested in the slider. There was a bit of a feeling on Jim Palmer's part that perhaps trying to throw the slider or using it too frequently could hurt his arm. And Palmer has had, like many athletes, his share of physical problems. He was handicapped by an assortment of problems. In the back and the right shoulder through years 1967, 68, and 69. Matter of fact, he pitched in only 9 games in 67 for the Orioles. 7 games he worked in the minors. 1968, he pitched only in the minor leagues in 10 games. And in 69, he was on the disabled list for about 6 weeks with torn muscle in the lower back. But Palmer this year has pitched complete game victories in each of his last 3 starts, all on the road, winning 10-1 over the Yankees, 5-0 in Cleveland, and then he clinched the American League Championship Series with a 5-3 victory over Oakland in Oakland. Game 2 from Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, Dave Cash underway. Cash in the first game had 1 base hit in 4 trips. Out of play. One ball, 2 strikes, and that was the Palmer curveball. Palmer today is making his 5th start in World Series competition. And the count will continue. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Dave Cash. From Belanger, and that's the first out in Game 2. Pirate fans, I'm sure, must be very happy to have the very strong bat of this man in the Pirate lineup this afternoon. He is among many of the Pirate batters, extremely respected by the Baltimore pitching staff and manager and coaching staff. Rich Hebner, he had 271 on the year, had 17 home runs, and that is out of play.
Curt? Here's a fellow that has an odd job. He's from Norwood, Massachusetts. His father's a grave digger. He helped his dad in the off season. I asked him how he liked the job, and he said there's no back talk.
And 2 strikes now to Rich Hebner. Well, the addition of Hebner and Al Oliver to the Pirates starting lineup adds a total of 34 home runs. And as Curt mentioned, and I think it bears repeating a few times, there is a very strong wind in Baltimore this afternoon from third toward first. 1 and 2. Hebner, 17 home runs on the year, and also 2 big home runs in the playoff. That's the Palmer curve, and he misses again. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The wind has been measured at somewhere around 18 miles an hour this afternoon in Baltimore. The kind of a wind that will, as you see, help the left-handed swinger and will hurt the right-handed swinger. So Palmer has reached the full count to Hebner. On the season, in 282 innings, Palmer walked but 106 batters while striking out 184. He has averaged 3.4 walks per 9-inning game over the past season. A year ago, he averaged about 3 in 1970. Many times broadcasters are accused of, using and overworking the word great, but I think when you refer to the man we're looking at, Roberto Clemente, you certainly can call him one of the greats of baseball. 341 this year. Ball one. Palmer has had, in some starts this year, early inning problems. The problem is physical. It is a matter of getting loose enough in the back, the lower back particularly. So when he is wild, for the most part, you will see him high wild. 1-1. Clemente in the opener against Dave McNally, 2 hits in 4 trips, and a .341 hitter on the campaign.
They're playing Clemente way around toward right. Redmond in right center, Robinson toward the right field line.
2 balls, 1 strike to Clemente. And that's the way the Orioles defensively are set against Clemente. Can and will hit the ball just about anywhere. Two balls, 2 strikes. That looked like the good Palmer fastball.
Chuck, when he's right, he can be the most overpowering pitcher on your staff, can he?
I would say yes, definitely. But he needs to be able to throw the curveball for strikes in order to really say he is right. Base hit, Clemente. And the Pirates have Palmer in early trouble. And the batter will be Willie Stargell, a .295 hitter on the season, and Stargell hitless in postseason competition. 0 for 17.
This fellow's about due to break out sometime. When he does, it could mean a lot to Pittsburgh.
Stargell's figures on the year, most of you may be aware of, I'm sure. 48 home runs and 125 runs batted in. 1 out. And you see Belanger favoring the bag as a shortstop against the tremendous, sometimes awesome pull power of Willie Stargell. Missed it at that time. 1 ball, 1 strike. Those are the base runners. Hebner at second. Clemente at first. 1 out. Just getting underway in game 2. This is a comment that we've made earlier, and that was just the kind of pitching we expect to see this afternoon. Both Johnson and Palmer will challenge the hitter, and that's exactly what Palmer did in the last pitch to start. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Again, he misses with a curve. 2-2. In the top of the first, and now Al Oliver. Al, a .282 hitter in the regular season for the Bucks, with 14 home runs and 64 runs batted in.
He's changed his stance this year. He's dropped back about a foot away from the plate. He used to crowd the plate more last year. Finished very strong with the bat for the Pirates.
That's the Palmer curveball. Powell, pitcher covering. Final out. The Pirates, no runs, 1 base hit, no Oriole errors, and 2 are left. And so in the middle of the first inning, the score is Pittsburgh 0, with Baltimore coming to bat. Well, on the screen, you see the Baltimore coaches. First base coach George Staller, a native Pennsylvanian, I might add, and third base coach Billy Hunter, also a native Pennsylvanian. And now Johnson, who was 9 victories and 10 defeats in the regular season for the Pirates. He attended Bradley University for a year. 7th year as a professional. And the Oriole remembrances of Johnson are the fact that he throws hard. Curt?
He was in a motorcycle accident in '67, fractured his right ankle, nearly lost a leg. He does not get off the mound very well.
And ball 1 to Buford, who had 2 hits and 4 trips in the first game. Buford hit .290 on the season for Baltimore.
I wonder if the Orioles might try and bunt him, Chuck.
And it'll be interesting to look for that. Robertson to Johnson just in time. And the comment you made, you saw he did have trouble getting there.
You could see that he doesn't get over and cover first with the agility that Palmer does because of that motorcycle accident.
Palmer, along with his ability to throw hard, is also one of the very best fielding pitchers in the American League. Now, Merv Rettenmund, an instant hero, of course, in Game 1 for Baltimore with a 3-run home run. And he finished leading the Orioles at the plate with a .318 average in the regular campaign. I love the call of the plate umpire, Ed Sudoff. Keep an eye on this. Stargell coming over in the corner. The wind is knocking it down, and Stargell is there.
Saturday, that would have been off the wall or up in the seats.
Again, the comment that I think does bear repeating. A cross-field wind from the left field corner to the right field corner, sometimes reaching 18 miles an hour. The batter is Powell, 0 for 3 in Game 1, and a .256 hitter on the year. And he did most of that the final 2 months of the year. And the shift again is in effect for Boog Powell. Fine breaking stuff from Johnson. Strike 1. Boog hit .307 after the All-Star break for the rest of the year. His average was .224 at All-Star time. 1-1 to Boog. That is shortstop Jackie Hernandez. You see right behind Bob Johnson on your screen now. And that's how far around to first the Pirate infield is shifted against Powell. They played him the very same way in the first game. 2-1. Johnson started the third game against the Giants of Pittsburgh last Tuesday, and he won it 2-1, going 8 innings. And this will be a 2-1 pitch to Powell. Cash is there. And that's the final out of the inning. The Orioles are 3 up and 3 down. At the end of 1 inning of play, the score, Pittsburgh 0, Baltimore 0. A word about the Pirate coaches now. Don Leppert at first base. This is his 4th season with Pittsburgh. He lives in Greenwood, Indiana. And the third base coach is Frank Osiak. He's in his 9th season with the Pirates. He was with them when Murtaugh had his first tenure as a Bucs manager, left, and then came back when Danny returned. Mount Savage, Maryland, or Frostburg. Here is Bob Robertson, and he went 0 for 3 in the first game. So Rob was trying to hold up in that swing and just couldn't stop it. So the count then is 2 strikes. Great story about the way the Pirates signed this fellow. Their scout was in there. He wasn't anywhere around. And the fellow said, "Can you wait a few minutes? There's another youngster I'd like you to see. This is the man he brought over." And what a discovery. 1 ball, 2 strikes. young man had won 3 home run titles in the minor leagues. And that makes the count 2 balls and 2 strikes, and the on-deck hitter is Manny Sanguillen. It's the Palmer curveball. 2-2. Even against that strong crossfield wind, the Orioles play this fella to pull that ball. He missed inside, and Palmer issues walk number 2. This telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball and is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Commissioner of Baseball is prohibited. Manny Sanguillen, 0 for 4 in the first game, a .319 hitter on the season. And one of the very best catchers in all of baseball. That's what is known as having a good cut, and Manny's the kind of a fellow who comes out of the dining room swinging. He doesn't take very many. Robertson at first. Now you see it's just a stump off the bag. And that got to plate umpire Ed Sudol. And fortunately, he appears to be all right, but took a pretty good belt.
We have contrasting styles in these batting orders. The Pirates are a swinging club. They draw comparatively few walks, while the Orioles led the American League in receiving walks. They're both good hitting teams. Pirates a better average as a team batting average.
Base hit. Robertson will hold at second base, and the Pirates again have Palmer in trouble in inning 2. Nobody out. Robertson at second base, Sanguillen at first, and Jackie Hernandez headed to the plate.
Sanguillen, although swinging in a lot of bad balls, but 2 strikes on him, really protected the strike zone and just tried to meet the ball. Slapped it to right. Good hitting by Sanguillen.
Hernandez hit .206 on the year. And the Orioles figure that there might be a little bit of a bunt. Watching Powell coming down the line at first base, he was crowding right up on the infield grass. Now he is backed away. And strike 1 to Hernandez. Base running situation at second. It's Robertson. Sanguillen, the runner at first. And nobody out in the Pirates' second. Rettenmund, center fielder. 1 away. And now the pitcher, Bob Johnson, and he's kind of a weak hitting pitcher, an .086 lifetime average in the majors. He's had 9 hits in 105 at-bats, and he struck out 67 times. Actually, this year in 48 at-bats, he was struck out 33 times. as though the bunt had been in order. Again, here base runners with one out. Robertson second, Sandgy in first. One ball, one strike now to Bob.
So a fellow like Palmer on the mound, Brooks Robinson will try and anchor at third. I mean, he'll give more than half the diamond between the mound and third base because Palmer can get off that mound. They want to get this front man at third if the bunt's successful.
2-1 to Johnson. And again, Palmer, when he does have control difficulty, usually he is high wild. And the 2-1 to Johnson. And a foul bunt. Make the count 2-2. Second strikeout. And the top of the batting order, the very talented Pittsburgh second baseman Dave Cash. In the first inning, he seemed to get fisted a little bit, ball in on him, and hit a soft line drive and took a hop in front of Belanger, and he was thrown out. Very strong, as you see, 295 lifetime average. Rettenmund looked like he almost got fooled, but got to it for the final out. And again, the Pirates. No runs, one hit, no Oriole errors, and again, 2 are left. At the end of an inning and a half, the score, Pittsburgh nothing and Baltimore nothing. As the Orioles come to bat against Johnson in the last half of the second inning, it will be Frank Robinson, Elrod Hendricks, and then Brooks Robinson. And in game 1 here in Baltimore, Saturday afternoon, it was Frank Robinson who got the Orioles started somewhat. After Pittsburgh broke on top 3-0, Frank homered. And Frank has hit a home run in 3 of his last 4 series games. And a total of 7 home runs in World Series competition. Out of play. One ball and 1 strike. Bob Johnson traded by the Mets to Kansas City with Amos Otis for Joe Foy in December of 1969. And the 1-1. Out of play. 1-2. Traded by Kansas City with infielder Jackie Hernandez and catcher Jim Campanis to the Pirates for catcher Jerry May, pitcher Bruce Dal Canton, and shortstop Freddie Patek in December of 1970. Your on-deck hitter, Elrod Hendricks. 1-2, time. Two and 2 to Frank. In 15 1/3 innings against the Orioles, Johnson has allowed Baltimore only 2 runs and 11 hits. And that's the first Baltimore hit of the game. It looked as though, Curt, that the ball Frank just hit through the middle might have hit Johnson on the foot, kind of a glancing blow.
Either that or it grazed the top of the mound. I was just figuring what a favor Cincinnati did Frank Robinson. 5-6 years ago. He was mad when he was traded by Cincinnati to Baltimore, but he's made up for it with that extra World Series money. 4 pennants in 6 years he's played on here.
He is definitely one of the ball players, and there are quite a few of them in both National and American League, with outstanding leadership ability. It's just inborn, and he is the leader of this Baltimore ball club. Here is Elrod Hendricks hitting .250 on the regular season, and went 1 for 4 in the opening game. Yes, sir. Strike 1 to the rod.
This fella uses one of the heaviest bats in the majors, doesn't he, Chuck? 40 ounces?
That's about it. And with that tremendously slender, willowy build of his, it's, as we mentioned, I think Saturday, he attracts the nickname Beef.
Beef. They always call the natty dresser in the club Rag.
That's right. That's exactly right. Two strikes now to Hendricks. And continuing along the theme of nicknames, a very well-educated college graduate, Dave Johnson, is quite naturally referred to as Dum Dum. Two strikes to Hendricks. No score. If you just joined us here in Game 2, we're in the bottom of the second inning. 1-2 to Elrod Hendricks. And the on-deck hitter, Brooks Robinson. Two and two to Elrod. Young man was touted to the Baltimore Orioles by one of the most respected names in baseball, Mr. Frank Lane. And he has surprised many people with his ability behind the plate. The 2-2 to Hendricks. That's 3-2.
Speaking of Frank Lane, they used to call him Trader Lane. He traded last night at midnight, giving up 4 players to the Red Sox. The Red Sox sent 6 to Milwaukee. A block-busting trade involving 10 players has been discussed around the hotel lobbies all morning.
Another one of those population deals or exchange of communities. 3-2 to Elrod Hendricks. We get the opportunity. We will fill you in on the personnel involved in the trade that Curt was talking about. Some of you may not have heard about it yet. 3-2 pitch coming to Hendricks. Ball 4. Well, the Orioles now bring a little pressure to bear on the Pirate right-hander Bob Johnson and Sam Guillen. If you have not heard about the 10-player trade made yesterday between the Red Sox and Milwaukee, the Boston players traded were pitchers Jim Lonborg and Ken Brett, infielder George Scott, outfielder Billy Canigliaro, and Joe LaHood, and catcher Don Pavletic. Boston received pitcher Marty Patton, Lou Krause, infielder outfielder Tommy Harper, and minor league outfielder Pat Scrabble. And we're getting activity in the Pittsburgh bullpen. Bruce Kison. Here is Brooks Robinson, 1 for 4 in Game 1. Ball 1 to Brooks. Foul ball. Hendricks returning to first base. and Frank Robinson, the runner at second. A ball and a strike. The Oriole third baseman, Brooks Robinson. Ball and 2 strikes. That was a very good pitch from Bob Johnson. Now.
Johnson thought he had the corner on that one. He missed. It was only by an inch. Excellent pitch to Robinson.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Brooks Robinson. Nobody out. Runners first and second. No score. 3-2. Sanguillen again is going to visit Johnson, who is troubled by his lack of control, not being able to get the ball exactly where he wants it. But as Curt pointed out a moment ago, he's not missing by much, but he still is missing. And the man at the plate is respected, I think, in both American and National Leagues as one of the fine clutch hitters in baseball.
Johnson's got a problem. He can't make this 3-2 pitch too good against a fellow like Brooks Robinson.
We're ready to go, and here is the payoff, 3-2 to Brooks. The runners hold. That's a base hit. Frank is going to try to score. There will be no throw, and Baltimore leads 1-0. Brooks Robinson's first run batted in on the 1971 series, and here is Dave Johnson. He went 1 for 4 in the opening game, and a very solid .282 hitter over the campaign for Baltimore. Got off to the great start with a 17-game hitting streak. Breaking ball. Bob Johnson, strike 1. Johnson is one of the better fastball hitters on the Baltimore club. One and 1. Showed you a little while ago, Bruce Kison is still at work out in the Pirate bullpen, still throwing hard. And there are the runners, Hendricks second and Brooks Robinson first. And this will be a 1-1 pitch to Dave Johnson. Whoops, they've got it without any trouble. Almost turned 3 of them.
We almost had a triple play in the World Series. Here's the line drive to Cash. Now Cash will flip to the shortstop Hernandez, the double off Hendricks. Brooks Robinson didn't wander far off first. He alertly stayed there. And you saw Hernandez look to first to go for the triple play, so he didn't have a chance.
And now Mark Belanger, who had the fine first game for Baltimore with 2 hits and 4 trips and a good season, both at the plate and in the field. He hit .266. And here is a fellow that most clubs, and the Pirates are, is played to hit the ball the other way. Ball 1. That is to say, center fielder Al Oliver will favor the alley toward right center. And right fielder Clemente will be a little bit shallow in the right field corner as we look at Brooks Robinson's lead at first base. That'll be the final out. But the Orioles pick up a run on 2 base hits and leave 1 runner. At the end of 2, the score is Baltimore 1 and Pittsburgh 0.
Well, as Jim Palmer's completed his warm-up pitches, his wife, Mrs. Susan Palmer, looking on from the stands. Here's this last out, Belanger, with this wicked smash back to the box. Right back to Johnson, who was there. The last 2 outs, line drives from Johnson Belanger. And now we go to the 3rd.
And this is Hebner. And against Palmer in the 1st inning, Rich got the free ticket. Palmer has walked 2, has struck out 2, and has been nicked for 2 Pirate hits. 1 ball, 1 strike. Another one of those well-nigh, almost perfect pitches. Just letter high right over the outer corner. Powell at first, unassisted. 1 gone.
We have 2 big hulking first basemen today that you wouldn't think would be agile around the bag, but they're both excellent defensive first basemen. Boog Powell for the Orioles, Bob Robertson for the Pirates. They're both excellent on throwing balls. They can come up with grounders. And they're steady. They're underrated defensively.
Here is Clemente, and he, as he does so many times, just bashed a single through the middle of center field in his first trip. Ball 1. And Clemente has now hit safely in all 9 of his World Series games. And that'll make it ball 2 to Roberto. That would be 7 games in the 1960 series and 2 games in the 1971 series.
You know, Chuck, if this fellow had ever played his career in New York or Los Angeles, big publicity centers, he would have received much more acclaim.
How true. And the count now 2-1. And what a treat, I have seen Clemente, but once before in person, and that was the 1960 Pirate-Yankee World Series. And to see this man in person is, just a great treat. He does it all. He runs, he throws, he catches the ball. Oh, does he hit.
There's his 4th hit.
Second base. And he's going to beat Frank's throw. Clemente with a double. Well, the Pirates continue. They have had men on base, or at least a man on base, every inning, and have not yet broken through on Palmer.
I asked Danny Murtaugh if Clemente slowed down, and he said, not that I can see, and you just saw him the way he went to second. Hasn't lost a step in the outfield. Plays the game hard every way.
Here is Stargell. He struck out against Palmer in the 1st inning. Missed with a curveball. See the very distinct and very clear sign from Sudol that, yes, sir, he got around on that hard rising fastball to Palmer. It's Clemente leading from second. Nope. 2 balls, 1 strike to Stargell. Really got a tough pitch to make to a hitter the likes of Willie Stargell. And he missed with it. 3rd walk issued by Palmer. Pirates had runners at first and second with one out in the first inning, did not break through. They had runners at first and second with nobody out in the second inning and did not score. And now with one away, runners at first and second again, and here is Al Oliver. In the first inning, he went out first baseman to the pitcher covering. Ball. And again, you see the control problem of Palmer is again high wide.
I don't think there's a batting order in baseball that is any more dangerous of 6 in a row than Hebner, Clemente, Stargell, Oliver, Robertson, and Sanguin. Those 6 together.
And Palmer, perhaps thinking in the terms that you just expressed, Curt, could be perhaps pitching a little too carefully. And you see the manager, Earl Weaver, and he looks a trifle concerned, and with good cause. 2 balls, no strikes to Oliver. Came to the fastball and challenged on 2-1. Pirate base runners, Clemente second, Stargell first. If you just joined us, this is the top of the third. It is Baltimore 1, Pittsburgh nothing. Watching Buford in left field. 2 down. And here is Bob Robertson. He opened the Pirates' second with a base on balls. Though we have mentioned and will repeat that there is about an 18-mile-an-hour wind blowing from the left field foul pole toward the right field foul pole, it really wouldn't bother a fellow like Robertson. He hits it. It's gone. Ball 1. With his control problems in the early innings, has already thrown a total of 60 pitches. 1-1. There are 2 out, but Pirate runners. Clemente second, Stargell first. That's the curveball. The ball and 2 strikes to Roberts. Third, no runs, a base hit, and 2 are left at the end of 2 1/2. The score is Baltimore 1 and Pittsburgh nothing. Well, coverage of the third game of the 1971 World Series starts at 12:30 Eastern Time tomorrow in Pittsburgh, with World Series report starring Joe Garagiola and Sandy Koufax. Here is pitcher Jim Palmer in the Oriole third. He, on the year, hit 196. Don't forget about the 7:30 night game on Wednesday. Ball 1 to Palmer. One and one. Bob Johnson, 1-9, lost 10. Oh, good fastball. 1 and 2 now to Palmer. be out of play. See how much Palmer is choked up against Johnson. With a couple of inches of that sticking out. No, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Watch right fielder Clemente and Roberto in that tough sun field makes the play for the first out. And the top of the Baltimore batting order, Don Buford. And Buford in the first inning against Johnson was out first baseman to the pitcher covering. It's a very interesting statistic on the screen right now, averaging 98 walks per year in the last 3 seasons.
He would be a better leadoff man in the game than this fella the last 3 years.
Good breaking ball from Johnson. Strike 1. Well, naturally, the Baltimore people feel definitely that Buford is the best leadoff hitter in baseball. And a leadoff man with power, 19 regular season home runs, and he's already hit one here in the 71 series. A ball and a strike to Buford. Now it's 1-2. And Rich Hebner, who had been up on the infield grass at third now with a count at 1-2, was able to back off even with a bag. And they played Buford to pull the ball. Oh, good breaking ball from Johnson. And he picks up his first strikeout. So with 2 down, and on your screen right now, Mrs. Nixon, the first lady of our land, and in a very interesting conversation right now, I'm sure, with Commissioner of Baseball, Mr. Bowie Kuhn. And David and Julie Eisenhower also right alongside the Commissioner. And now here is Rettenman, 2 out, nobody out. Thompson seems to have found a little bit of a groove now. He is pitching much more in the manner that I'm sure Danny Murtaugh expected of him. 1 strike to Rettenman. 2 strikes to Rettenman. Here comes Cash. And Johnson gets the Orioles in 1-2-3 order. And at the end of 3 full innings of play, the score is Baltimore 1 and Pittsburgh 0. Top of the 4th inning, game number 2 in the 1971 World Series, and it'll be for the Pirates Manny Sanguillen, Hernandez, and then pitcher Bob Johnson as 2 batters to Baltimore's Jim Palmer, who's been in trouble in every inning and yet has been able to battle back and hold the Bucks in check and not give up a run, whereas starter Johnson of the Pirates been in trouble in only 1 inning, and he got burned with 1 run. That's getting burned. Dave Johnson, look out.
Now, Chuck, as you know better than anyone, that's the kind of plays that Baltimore infield just comes up with day after day during the season. A tough infield to get a ball by, and they have good, sure hands.
And the fellow who made the play perhaps does not get as much credit as he truly deserves for his defensive abilities, Dave Johnson. Ball 1 to Hernandez. He was out on the fly ball to center fielder Rettenman in the 2nd inning. Out of play. Speaking of infielders and great defensive plays, an interesting note on the Oriole third baseman Brooks Robinson. The glove that he is using will go on to the Hall of Fame at the end of this World Series. And that glove, you would think was specially designed for Brooks. No. He borrowed it from a Milwaukee outfielder who used to be an Oriole by the name of Dave May. And that also is out of play. So when that one goes on to the Hall of Fame, Curt, where do you think Brooks goes for another glove? To another Oriole outfielder by the name of Don Baylor.
He's the outstanding young outfielder in the minor leagues, isn't he?
Correct. Palmer just not able to do with a curveball what he would like to be able to do. The count is 2 balls, 2 strikes to Hernandez.
Hard.
Well, let's see. I don't know whether it has play or not. Powell. No, sir. On the dugout roof and out of play. 2-2. The count continues to Hernandez. Curt and I just looking at the crowd here at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore for this Monday afternoon, and it looks just like it did Saturday afternoon when the Orioles and the Pirates had a sellout. We have not yet received the figure.
The game was postponed yesterday. The Orioles wanted to play it tonight. The Pirates did not want to play tonight. The Orioles were afraid that many of the people would have to work and wouldn't be here, but this park looks full.
Look out. Ooh, fastball riding up on Jackie, and the count is now 3-2. This is Palmer's 3rd full count. No one blames Hernandez for taking an extra moment or two to just dust off that uniform.
You know, Chuck, they blame TV for just about everything anymore, but a lot of stories had that it was television that was trying to force the night game. It's not true. Baltimore Orioles wanted to play the game tonight. But the Pirates did not want it, and the commissioner settled it.
That's a base hit. Number 4 for the Pirates. And we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network. Well, the Pirates continue. At least a hit an inning and at least a runner an inning against Jim Palmer. And now here is pitcher Johnson. 1 out, and Hernandez, the runner at first base. Ball 1. And as you see, the bunt was in order on the first pitch. Now, whether they'll keep it in order on the next pitch, we'll wait and see. As you noted, I think in Saturday afternoon's game, Baltimore sometimes will have the bunt on one pitch, take it off, and come back with it. It's on again. 1 ball and 1 strike to Johnson. As we mentioned in his first plate appearance, Johnson really not too good with a bat. Your runner is Hernandez at first base. Well, they had the bunt off. Ball and 2 strikes. Well, if you want to guess again or guess along with manager Danny Murtaugh of the Pirates, are you going to put the bunt back on with a count of ball and 2 strikes to pitcher Bob Johnson? Nope. No indication of the bunt, and it's 2-2.
I'll tell you one thing, for this stage of the game, Palmer's thrown a lot of pitches.
And has notched another strikeout. His 4th strikeout of the ball game.
Alan Roth now tells us he's already thrown 75 pitches. About 100 to 120 is ideal for a pitcher in a game. But only in the top of the 4th, and Palmer's already delivered 75 pitches.
2 down, and the top of the batting order, Dave Cash. Now, Dave has grounded to short and fly to center in 2 previous turns. Palmer with a pretty good move to first base, and that cross-the-body sidearm throw.
Here she goes, Davey. Here she goes. Wham!
Strike 1. And again, Palmer is unable to get the strike with a curveball. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. And you've got to, with 2 down, Baltimore 1, Pittsburgh nothing. We're in the top of the 4th inning. And again, you see that sidearm move to first base. This is something that Palmer has tried to learn from his teammate, bullpen right-hander Dave Leonard. Watching left fielder Buford. He's got to go, and he is there. So the Pirates in the top of the fourth, no runs, 1 base hit, 1 man left. At the end of 3 1/2 innings of play, the score continues: Baltimore 1 and Pittsburgh 0. Now let's go down to Toni Kubek.
You know, so far, Chuck and Curt, I've seen Jimmy Palmer engaging himself in a very difficult task. That of playing Russian roulette with this Pittsburgh great hitting team. He's trying to get his curveball over, he just can't. On the other hand, Bob Johnson in the last inning really started popping his fastball. It looks like he's gotten over those series jitters. So he looks like he's coming on, and Jimmy Palmer still struggling along. Let's go back upstairs.
In the Oriole half of the fourth inning, it'll be Boog Powell, Frank Robinson, Elrod Hendricks against Bob Johnson. This will be out of play. Powell, with 22 home runs on the year, hit only 6 here at this Baltimore stadium. 16 of them on the road. He's the all-time Oriole home run leader. Again, that wind, which has not as yet been any kind of a factor, but could be, is strong toward right field. One and one. Over to Powell. Off-speed curveball, it looked like.
He's looking better now. I think they told him in the third just go out there and throw. He was steering the ball in the second. He looked very sharp in the third. Now he's ahead of Powell.
A ball and 2 strikes to Boog. There is Cash. Again, you see how that overshift of the Pirates really pays off against a hitter like Powell. Be sure to watch the Today Show tomorrow morning as new host Frank McGee starts his second full day. That's tomorrow on Today on NBC.
Number 20, Frank Robinson.
Frank Robinson has one of the 2 Oriole hits and has scored the lone Oriole run. Strike one. Bottom of the fourth inning in Baltimore. Game 2, Baltimore 1, Pittsburgh 0. One ball, 1 strike. The Orioles, of course, won the opening game, which is not news to Pirate fans because they also lost the first game of the playoffs and then came roaring right back. 1 ball and 1 strike to Frank Robinson. 1 and 2 now. And as Toni Kubek pointed out a moment ago, very definitely Johnson is popping that fastball a lot better than he did in the first 2 innings. One and 2. Johnson has now retired 6 Orioles in a row. A relief stint when he was with Kansas City against Baltimore. He retired 12 of the Orioles in a row. Now that's in the hole to left field, and Frank with his 2nd hit and his 4th hit in the series. So both Frank and Clemente have 4 hits in this series so far.
And he hit a curveball that hung right over the plate, waist high. One of the few curves that Johnson's hung.
So with 1 out, the Orioles and a runner at first base, and Hendricks, who drew the base on balls from Johnson in that troublesome 2nd inning. Ball 1 to Elrod. Drafted players work out very well. And an example is this man at the plate. Hendricks was drafted by the Orioles from the Angels organization. That's Frank Robinson at first. And he has been hit by the pitch. So Sanguillen now talking to Johnson, who pitched so very, very well in the third inning, and then now just, the base hit to Frank, and now has hit Hendricks and is in a little trouble again.
And the young right-hander, Bruce Kison, who pitched so brilliantly in the playoffs for the Pittsburgh Pirates, now is warming up again in the Pirate bullpen. A side-arming right-hander.
Here's Kison. A year ago, when the Pirate right-hander Bob Johnson was in the American League, he, matter of fact, led the league in hit batsmen. He hit 11 of them. He has just nicked Hendricks on the foot or the ankle with a pitch. And the batter now is Brooks Robinson, whose bat accounted for the only run of this game in the second inning. Brooks stepping out just to break the tension a little bit as Johnson made him wait. Good. Franklin. Hendricks at first, Frank Robinson at second, and this was the situation with nobody out in the second inning that saw Brooks Robinson single to knock in the lone run. Now there is one out here in this bottom of the fourth. No, sir, he didn't. A ball and a strike. Two balls, one strike, and Johnson, quite obviously, as we looked at it, the pitch was very close, but just missing. Two balls and a strike. When Brooks faced Johnson in the second inning, he went to a full count before the single. Now it's 3-1. The troubled Bob Johnson, who had a splendid third inning, just looked like he finally hit the groove and seemed to be continuing as he got Powell to start the fourth inning, gave up the base hit to Frank, then hit Hendricks with a pitch, and now is behind to Brooks Robinson with a count of 3-1. Fair or foul? It is a foul ball. Foul ball. And a full count to Brooks. Here's the 3-2 pitch to Brooks. One away, and the runners are going. Ball four. With one out and a 3-2 to Brooks Robinson, Earl Weaver and the Orioles had him running. So Baltimore now loads the bases with one out. And the batter will be Dave Johnson.
And it was Johnson who came up in the second inning with two runners on and hit a vicious line drive into a double play right after second baseman Cash.
A great opportunity for Baltimore with one out and the bases loaded. Going to be a foul ball. It is a foul ball. Of course, you have to kind of hold up because of that wind, Curt.
Well, Chuck, they're hitting some vicious foul shots off him now. They're starting to time him.
And again, a little talk between Manny Sanguillen and Bob Johnson. Neither pitcher has been able to retire a batter when they got to a full count, 3-2. Well, the count is strike one to Dave Johnson with the bases loaded, one out in the last half of the fourth inning with Baltimore leading 1-0.
notice the Pirate infield, it's not quite halfway, just a step or two back from being halfway. They get that ground ball, they'll try and go for the inning double play.
That's exactly where they are positioned, in double play depth. And with a fellow like Johnson, if you get the proper kind of a pitch to him, the chances are good. He hits the ball very sharply. Make a mistake, of course. 1 ball, 1 strike for Johnson. 2-1 now. Brooks Robinson first base, Elrod Hendricks at second, Frank Robinson third. And we're watching quite a battle between Bob Johnson and Dave Johnson. Base hit. Frank scores. Hendricks is coming home. No play to the plate to second base now.
Ground ball just out of the reach between third and short. That was Hernandez diving for it. Stargell does not have a play at the plate on Hendricks, so he goes into second base. 2 runs in for Baltimore. They lead now 3-0. And we're going to have a change. Bill Burton, one of the Pirate coaches, moves to the mound. Johnson got himself in trouble after giving up a single. He hit Hendricks and walked Robinson to load the bases. And so a young right-hander, Bruce Kison, will step into a nasty situation here in the last of the 4th inning. A break in the action at Baltimore's Memorial Stadium. Our score, the Baltimore Orioles 3 and the Pittsburgh Pirates 0.
And now a word on behalf of the United States Olympic Committee. Thinking of Sapporo, Japan next February? Our top skiers and skaters are Sapporo and the 11th Olympic Winter Games. Well, on the mound now, we'll look at an outstanding young right-hander for Pittsburgh. His name is Bruce Kison. And he's from the state of Washington, and this young man is 6 feet 4 inches and 170 pounds. He's 21 years old, and this is but his 4th pro season. And as you see, he's got a whiplash sidearm delivery. He was 10-4 at Charleston and recalled by the Pirates, and he finished with 6 wins and 5 defeats. And he was the winning pitcher in the final playoff game. Bruce Kison. And the new batter to Kison will be Orioles shortstop Mark Belanger. Bob Johnson had an easy first inning and a troublesome second inning. Made but one mistake, actually, in that second inning, in truth, in the walk to Hendricks, and it really cost him because it put Frank Robinson in scoring position. Then he had a fine third inning. He got the first batter here in the bottom of the 4th inning, and then just ran into trouble with a bases-loaded single by Dave Johnson in Baltimore with a 3-0 lead, and here is Belanger. Ball 1. And again, the base runners, Brooks Robinson, second base, Dave Johnson, first base. What a spot for a 21-year-old youngster. Ball 2. It has been said that that mound can be the loneliest place in the world. Here's the 2-0 to Belanger. Ball 3. 3 balls, no strikes to Belanger. Three and one now. And there is activity in the Pirate bullpen. Bob Moose is up and throwing. And there's a left-hander out there with him. Might be Field. Check. Ball 4. And they are loaded again. Brooks Robinson to third. Dave Johnson to second. Belanger to first. And the pitcher, Jim Palmer, has the new batter. Palmer led the Oriole pitchers in runs batted in this year. He knocked in 9 runs. And in just a great spot to aid his own cause with only 1 out and the bases loaded. And again, you see the Pirates will set that infield at what could be called a double play depth, about halfway. Maybe not quite. Ball 1. Missed with a breaking ball. Ball 2. Palmer, I'm sure, as we look at Bruce Kison, understands full well what this young man has to be feeling, because Palmer became the youngest pitcher ever to pitch a shutout in the series, and he did that 9 days before his 21st birthday.
Chuck, this youngster Kison is engaged to be married to a former student nurse of Pittsburgh, and they set the wedding date for October 17th. The World Series goes 7 games. Kison will be late for his own wedding.
Ball 4. A walk to Palmer with the bases loaded. And here is Brooks Robinson in with the bases remain loaded. Baltimore sitting on top of a most productive bottom of the 4th inning. And Bill Verdon again is making an appearance. And I'm not sure whether, yes, he now has signed to the Pirate bullpen. And we'll wait and see whether Pittsburgh is coming with a right-hander or left-hander, because Buford here can go from either side of the plate, of course. They have Veal and Moose out there. Let's see which one of the two will get the call.
He gave the call to Moose. He pointed to his right arm. And Bob Moose will come in to relieve young Kison, who just couldn't get the ball over. So there's a break in the action again here at Baltimore. And the score now is Baltimore 4 and Pittsburgh nothing. While Bob Moose starts his warm-up pitches, let's switch down to Toni Kubek.
Thank you. With me down here in the commissioner's box, and of course with our first lady, Mrs. Nixon, David Eisenhower. And David, I can't call you Mr. anymore because you've got a military title now. What is it?
Yeah, well, I'm ensign. I'm an ensign in the Navy, right?
Where are you stationed?
I'm stationed on a cruiser, the USS Albany, down in Mayport, Florida. So I'm pretty far out of the baseball picture right now, Tony.
You really don't get much of a chance to see many ball games like you used to.
No, I sure don't. I really miss it. We missed the entire playoffs out on a cruise somewhere in the Caribbean, so it's been an adjustment, but I sure am happy to be out here at the series today, I'll tell you.
You think your wife would mind standing up and talking to me? Julie, could you stand up a second? Your mom just refuses to go on TV with me. I don't know what's wrong.
She loves watching you, though. We watched you on Saturday and really got a kick out of you because you seem to enjoy the game so much, but she's TV shy.
Well, you know, I said to her, I wasn't even going to talk baseball. It's just going to be about fashions because we have a lot of female viewers, but she said, no, not even that. Talk to David and Julie.
I think she would have, everyone would have hated her for talking fashions of the baseball game, that's for sure.
I don't know about, David, you've seen this Baltimore Orioles team so many times, and they just beat you in so many different ways.
Well, they remind me a lot of some of the teams that you used to play on, Tony. I became a great American League fan because of the Yankees, and I've always felt that American League play is underrated, and I think the Orioles have given the American League a real chance to get that credit that they're due this year by winning this series in a big way.
Let's watch Bob Moose, see if he can stop. David and Julie Eisenhower, thank you so much. Let's go back upstairs.
Thank you very much. And Bob Moose will now be facing leadoff hitter Don Buford. Bases remain loaded with 1 out. Now, Buford is 0 for 2, has gone out first baseman to the pitcher covering and struck out. 24-year-old Bob Moose. He was born in Export, Pennsylvania. 11-7 in 30 games with the Bucks this year. And he pitched 3 2/3 innings of relief ball in game number 1. 3 hits and a run. Ball. Johnson third, Belanger second, Palmer first. And the 1-0 to Buford. Now we'll watch Stargell in left field. Tagging is Johnson at third base. And Johnson is coming, and here's the throw. Great looking throw. And Sanguillen held on, and Johnson is out. Boy, what a play. What a great throw from Stargell, and what a tremendously courageous play on Sanguillen's part.
Stargell is very accurate when he's facing the base he's throwing to. He's all set, and he uncorks a perfect throw. Look at this, and watch Sanguillen barged into there by Johnson. And here's the runner coming on now. Really went into him. Sanguillen is shaken up and will just help back to the Pirate dugout. That's the way they like to see that catcher hang in there. That ball, he refused to have it. Look at that collision. Almost reminds you of the Pete Rose collision at home plate in the All-Star game year before last when he barreled into Fosse.
And at the end of 4 innings, the score is Baltimore 4 and Pittsburgh 0. Now to the top of the 5th inning, and again it'll be Hebner to lead off for the Pirates, and the count of strike on that foul ball. And this ballpark still buzzing about that collision between Johnson and Sanguillen. Now the count is 2 strikes. And that is the way the game is meant to be played. Ask no quarter, give none. And Sanguillen with a tremendously courageous defensive play at the plate. 1 ball and 2 strikes. You keep asking yourself, how could he possibly have held on to the ball after the impact that he took from Dave Johnson? But he did. Give that man full credit for the great play.
Dave Johnson wasn't too shy about going into him either.
No. And, as a matter of fact, Johnson has done that twice this year in the regular season play. Oh, again, could not get the curveball over. The count is 2-2 to Hebner. Palmer with strikeout number 5 on that whistling fastball. On Laugh-In tonight, guest star Edward G. Robinson as a mod world looks at Hollywood with all of the Laugh-In regulars. Remember in the first game, Curt, I commented to you that I was really surprised about Stargell's fine throw from deep in left field to second base in game 1, and what a magnificent throw he made to double Johnson.
The Orioles scout report said to respect him. When he has to run laterally, sideways, he's not as accurate as when he can approach and look at the base he's throwing. And he's very accurate when he does that.
Ball 1 to Clemente. And Roberto is just 2 for 2 this afternoon against Palmer. A single and a double. Watch Frank Robinson in right field. This ball hit well. He's got it right at the base of the wall. Have you ever seen Clemente hit a bloop?
No.
I don't think I ever have.
He now and then he hits choppers, but I'll tell you, I don't think the ball jumps off his bat. He's about as quick as anyone in base. It just jumps off the bat.
He hits everything so sharp. And here is Stargell, who triggered that great double play to end the bottom of the 4th on a magnificent throw to Sanguillen. Well, that's the kind of a play, World Series or otherwise, you will remember for a long time. Out of play. One now to Stargell. Two and one. Looked like a little kind of a change from Palmer. A big motion, and he took a little off. A straight change. Out of play. With a curveball. Now the count holds 3-2. It's the 4th time that Palmer has gone to a 3-2 count. And he walks him. Palmer's 4th walk, and again the Pirates, as they have every inning here in game 2, have had at least a man on.
Number 16, Al Oliver.
That wind has changed up now, Chuck, and is blowing from home plate out towards second.
And a hitter's win, and here is Oliver, and Palmer misses with a curve, ball 1. Oliver has gone out first baseman to the pitcher covering, has flied to left field. And there's the change in the wind direction we just mentioned, right out towards center field. Oh, did he have a cut? 1 ball, 1 strike. You notice Powell not holding with the base runner Stargell at first. 1 and 2. And again, Palmer leaning on the good fastball. Out of play. The on-deck hitter, Bob Roberts. Loosens up with a left-handed swing. 2 and 2 now to Oliver. Stargell leading first with 2 out. This 2 will be out of play. Changed up on him and got him. And in the top of the 5th inning, no runs, no hits, no Oriole errors, and a man left at the end of 4 1/2 innings of play. It is Baltimore 4 and Pittsburgh nothing. And now a word on behalf of the United States Olympic Committee. Thinking of Sapporo, Japan in February, well, our top skiers and skaters are Sapporo and the 11th Olympic Winter Games. And now, with a great deal of pleasure to take us the rest of the way in Game 2 of the 1971 series, here is Curt Gowdy.
Thank you, Chuck Thompson. Merv Retman, slide to deep left, grounded out. He'll be followed by Boog Powell, Frank Robinson. Bob Moose, the third pitcher today for the Pirates. Retman being played straight away. Bounding ball, skipped through. 5 hits for the Orioles. And Powell being greeted by the usual Boog. Has twice grounded to second. They have that shift on again with a shortstop Hernandez in back of second. Keep Retman close. Dave Cash has excellent range to his left. The Pirates second baseman, the outfield deep and toward right. Powell is playing with torn fibrous tissue in the back of his right hand. He's had miseries all year, a broken wrist in June. The Orioles leading 4 0 last of the 5th. Drive into right field. Clemente has to play it on a hop. Great arm. Throws in. Retman stops at second. Powell's on first. And Frank Robinson coming up has singled twice, 2 for 2. The Pirate bullpen is going to get busy again. Bob Beal, left-hander. Orioles have 4 runs in. They've lined into a double play. They flied into a double play today. A ball. Retman at second. Powell at first. Nobody out. Foul. Robinson looked like he was trying to go to right. Hit behind the runner. Clemente gives him the right field corner. Plays him over in right center. The rest of them are just a step or two toward left. Or you'll just try and slap this ball to the right side and move the runners along. The Orioles do this. They help each other. There's a high fly on the right. Long chase for Clemente. Gallops over. Grabs it. Whirls. Here's Retman coming to throw. What a throw! And he just beat it in. Boy, Clemente, although his club has lost the opening game, and behind right now is putting on a one-man show.
What a magnificent throw from Clemente. And he had all sorts of trouble picking the ball up and getting to it. And then to come out of it with a throw that you're going to watch again. Look at this to third base. He couldn't have carried it over there any better. And Retman just did get there. Look at this. And here is Retman all alone again, coming into third, and the magnificent Clemente throw was that close to getting him. All right, Curt.
The throw was so exceptional because he had to do the complete pivot to throw. Now they're going to appeal at second that Retman left too soon. But second base umpire Ed Vargo says no. Powell stayed at first. Runners on first and third, 1 out. Ellie Hendricks has been walked and been hit by a pitch ball. Baltimore leading 4-0, last of the 5th. Brooks Robinson on deck. Hendricks played as a dead pull hitter to right field. Inside. They've been trying to work him inside. They've been losing him in there. Again, missing. 2 balls, no strikes to Ellie Hendricks. Retman at third. Powell at first. 1 out. Bob Moose. All 4 Baltimore runs have been charged to the starter, Bob Johnson. There's a line drive over the head of Hernandez. And the score, Retman. Ball gets away. Big Powell is being waved in. The throw goes to third. Powell scores. As Oliver let that ball get through. It's a single, a run batted in for Hendricks, an error charge to the center fielder Oliver, which allowed Powell to score from first base. And the Orioles lead 6-0. Brooks Robinson has singled in a run. He's walked. And the Pirates bring the infield in with a runner on third. There's a drive in the center. Oliver charging it. Hendricks scores, and Brooks Robinson now been on base every time, and the Orioles out in front 7-0. The 4th hit this inning off Bob Moose. And so far in the series, the Pirate pitching has not been able to match the Oriole pitching, and that's been the story. And we said at the start of the series that the whole story of the series, if the Pirates could get better than expected pitching from their starters. Johnson lined in a double play and single. That's Robinson on first. Both Pirate starters have been knocked out early. A strike. 0-1. Still only 1 out. Brooks Robinson at first. There's a looper. That one may sink. It's in for the base hit. And Davey Johnson now has 2 hits. 5 hits this inning, all singles by the Orioles. And here's Bill Burden coming out of the Pirate dugout. And he's going to bring in left-hander Bob Beal. Will face a right-handed Badger, Mark Belanger. So Moose pitched an inning and 2/3. Allowed 5 hits, 3 runs. He's responsible for the 2 men on. And while we wait for Bob Beal to make his way to the mound, we'll tell you the score. Baltimore 7, Pittsburgh 0. Let us correct ourselves. Bob Moose pitched 1 inning, officially, not an inning and 2/3. 5 hits and 3 runs. And as Bob Beal starts his warm-up pitches, Toni Kubek. Let's hear from you down in the stands.
Well, Curt, it seems to me in this ball game so far that the Baltimore Oriole hitters, and in the series so far, just 2 games, that they felt they were slighted. Everybody said that they had better pitching, that they had better defense, but they said that the Pittsburgh Pirates had a better hitting ball club. I think maybe it's got their higher up somewhat. Everybody in this lineup is capable of hitting the ball, as we've seen. They've been getting the big hit in a critical situation with men on bases. The Pirates haven't. Jimmy Palmer continues to struggle along, struggling to get his breaking pitch over the plate. He can't. As long as the Pittsburgh Pirates hitters keep swinging at that high fastball of his, which is out of the strike zone, they're going to continue to have difficulty with this background of this ballpark. I don't know what's going to happen, but sooner or later the Pirates are going to have to break loose and get a hit in the right situation. Let's go back upstairs.
Danny Murtaugh, who never shows much emotion, 54-year-old Pirate manager, watching his left-hander warm up. Bob Beal, who'll be 36 years old on the 28th of this month, born in Birmingham, Alabama, lives now in Pittsburgh. 6'6", 225, appearing in his first series game. Speaking of birthdays, we have one here today from our NBC's Toni Kubek. We wish him a happy birthday. Mark Belanger, line to the pitcher and walk. Brooks Robinson at second. Dave Johnson at first. 1 out. 3 runs in. A ball. You remember last year in the series, Cincinnati got early leads, but then couldn't contain the Orioles with their pitching. Pirates jumped off Saturday, but couldn't hold it. Shutout so far today. 2-0. The Pirates have had their chances. They have left 8 men in the first 5 innings. Two balls, no strikes to Mark Belanger. Three and nothing. Pirate pitchers have walked 4 and hit a batter. There goes Belanger. That loads the bases. And Jim Palmer has fly to right and walked. He's had a long spell in that dugout in this long last half the 5th. Still missing, ball 1 to Palmer. Brooks Robinson at third. Dave Johnson at second. Mark Belanger at first. Ball 2. Kison, the youngster, came in to relieve in the 4th and walked 2 in a row. Now Beal's relieved here in the 5th. He's walked Belanger and he's behind the opposing pitcher Palmer 2-0. The old Fordham Flash used to have the saying, "Oh, those bases on balls." Frankie Frisch. Probably looking at his game in Rhode Island. Two and nothing count to Jim Palmer. Bases loaded, 1 out. 3-0. Beal hasn't thrown a strike. Gets one over. And the crowd gives him the mock roar. Three-one pitch. And that's twice Palmer has walked to bring in a run. The pitcher has walked twice with the bases loaded. 2 RBIs for Palmer. And he hasn't swung the bat yet. Don Buford up, the top of the order. He's the 9th batter up this inning for the Orioles as Baltimore now leads 8-0. Danny Murtaugh again. Veal's glove to Cash, flips for one. They don't get a double play. Veal had his back to the plate when he went to field that ball. It went to the mound. Palmer gets a hand as he slid into second. Give Buford an RBI on his forced ground ball. Dave Johnson scoring. Over at third now is Belanger. Runners on first and third, 2 down. 5 runs in, 9-0 Baltimore. The Orioles have batted around. Merv Rettenman started this inning with a single to right field. He's up for the second time. A ball. Rettenman fly to deep left, grounded out and single. Two and nothing. Nothing to Merv Rettenman. All 5 runs this inning have been charged to Bob Moose. All for a strike. 3-1. Field. Belanger scores. Buford scurries to third. The throw comes to first. But then he likes to throw behind the runner sometimes. And Merv Rettenman has a single and a run batted in. 6 different Orioles now have knocked in runs. Boog Powell grounded out twice to second, and in this inning, single to right, so he's up for the second time. He's the 11th batter of the inning. 10 runs is the biggest inning in the history of the World Series. The Philadelphia A's in the 1929 World Series when they overcame an 8-0 Chicago Cub lead and beat the Cubs 10-8. The Orioles have 6 runs this inning. Slow bounder. Charged by Cash, the flip, and they finally get him out. 6 runs in for Baltimore. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hits. There were no errors and 2 left. And at the end of 5 innings, there's your score, 10-0 Baltimore.
This is Linda Wareheim, who does this at the end of the 5th inning in Baltimore, and she now approaches Frank Osiak, the third base coach, and I'm sure the humor of the moment is lost completely on Mr. Osiak, as you can well understand.
Bob Robertson, Manny Sanguillen, Jackie Hernandez up for the Pirates in the 6th inning. 10 runs, 10 hits for the Orioles. No runs, 4 hits for the Pirates. Foul back by Robertson, who's walked and struck out. Jim Palmer in early trouble. Pirates had 2 on with 1 out in the first. They had 2 on with nobody out in the second. 2 on with 2 down in the third. Outside, 1-1, but they haven't been able to get the big hit off Palmer. Palmer struck out 6, walked 4. He has not had sharp control, and he's delivered a lot of pitches. 2-1, but he's still firing. Youngest pitcher to ever pitch a shutout in the World Series, 1966. Ball 3. Pitch. And that's the 5th walk given up by Palmer. We've had 11 walks and a hit batsman in this game. Manny Sanguillen is single and grounded out. Ball strike. Baltimore leading 10-0. Top of the 6th inning. 1-1. Runner at first is Bob Robertson. And the Orioles with a big lead. Not holding there. A ball and 2 strikes. The Pirates have not scored an earned run yet in this series. The 3 runs they came up with Saturday were all unearned. And Baltimore miscued. A ball and 2 strikes. The count to Manny Sanguillen. NBC Monday Night at the Movies tonight is Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, starring Elizabeth Taylor, Paul Newman, and Burl Ives. Pretty fair cast. That's the curveball. And Palmer's trying to get over today. When he does, of course, that makes his fastball all the more effective. He's now struck out 7. McNally struck out 9 on Saturday. Palmer has at least 1 strikeout in every inning. Jackie Hernandez is fly to center and single. A ball. 12:30 tomorrow. World Series report. And the 3rd game of the World Series between the Pirates and the Orioles. 1 ball, 1 strike. And remember, the first night World Series game in history, Wednesday night, starting at 7:30 Eastern Daylight Time. 7:30 p.m. with our World Series report. And Game 4 will begin at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Bob Miller still warming up in the Pirates bullpen. That's a foul fly that'll be out of play down the right field line. Bob Prince will join us in the telecasting booth, the Pirate broadcaster, tomorrow in Pittsburgh. One out for the Pirates in the 6th inning. Bob Robertson at first. Change up, missing 2-2. Charlie Sands, reserve catchers, come out to the on-deck circle to pinch hit for the Pirates. 3-2. Charlie Sands. He bats left. Palmer with that big 10-run lead. This is a tight game, though. The Orioles will be worried about the amount of pitches he's thrown. And he walks Hernandez. So he's now walked 6. Pirates have runners on first and second. Charlie Sands will come out to bat for Bob Veal. Sands during the year hit 200, had a homer and 5 RBIs. The Pirates the last 3 years have had the best pinch hitting record as a team in baseball. They dropped off a bit this year, but they still had an average that was superior. This year they hit 264 as a team pinch hitting. Listen to this. In 1969, as a team, they batted .317 in their pinch hitting efforts. And in 1970, they hit .299 as pinch hitters. Remarkable. 10-0. Baltimore leading top of the 6th inning. Pirates have runners on first and second, one out, and Charlie Sands looks at a low and away pitch. No action in the Baltimore bullpen. Jim Palmer has a shutout going, but you've all seen him better than he's been today with his 6 walks. Fastball of his sailing high, 2-1. Can't quite bring that one down today. When he does, he's throwing it for strikes and usually swinging strikes, as the Pirates can't lay off of it. Comes in there around the letters, and you usually watch Hendricks grab it around the shoulders or up around the cap. It's popping that much. 2 balls and a strike. 1 out, runners on first and second. There goes his bat. 2-2. Well, someone has a souvenir of the World Series. Charlie Sands goes over to get a new bat. Sometimes a fan will give the player back his favorite bat, and then they'll exchange and hand the fan a bat out of the bat rack in the dugout.
Curt, you're talking about Palmer's wildness, and we just took a quick look at the record at 71, and his toughest day control-wise was when he won a 12-4 game over Milwaukee. He went 9 innings, but he walked 7 men that day and struck out 5, and he's already walked 6 this afternoon, and we're just in the 6th inning.
So everyone's happy, and here we are now with a 2-2 pitch coming up to pitch batter Charlie Sands. Ball 3, 3-2. Palmer's playing, he and the catcher playing just a game of catch out here. They're either walks or they're strikeouts. 2 strikeouts, a walk in the 5th. There have been 2 walks and 2 strikeouts in the 6th. Jim Palmer now struck out 8, walked 6. Top of the order, Dave Cash. No hits 3 times. Bob Robertson at second. Jackie Hernandez at first. That's a ball. He didn't commit himself. 10-0. If you just joined us, the Orioles got a run in the 2nd, 3 in the 4th, 6 in the 5th. The last 10 Pittsburgh batters have hit only 2 fair balls. There's a check swing. It's hit down to Powell. Over there to cover is Palmer. He's got a shutout for 6 innings. No runs for the Pirates. No hits. No errors. They left 2. They have now left 10 in this game. And at the end of 5.5 innings, Baltimore 10, Pittsburgh nothing. Bob Miller on the pitch. Let's go down to Toni.
With me down here in the stands, the wife of the starting pitcher of the Orioles, Jim Palmer's wife, Sue. And Sue, they're pitching to your husband like he's Babe Ruth. He's noted for his pitching, not for his hitting.
Yeah. he usually comes up with 1 hit a game, though, so I just have to be a little bit careful.
Does Jim have any superstitions before he pitches? Like, does he like a certain dish, or was he nervous before this ball game?
Well, he's known for eating his pancakes. We kind of switched to French toast occasionally. He had them yesterday, though, so if he eats them twice in a week, he's afraid he'll get fat, so he passed them up today.
You know, he's got a pretty good lead right now, 10-0, but I've never seen Jim throw quite this many pitches. He's going to be a very tired man tonight.
He looks tired already because he's walking quite a few, but I think that could be because he hasn't pitched in so long.
Sue, thank you so much.
Thank you, Tom.
Sue Palmer, wife of Jim Palmer of the Orioles. Let's go upstairs.
Bob Miller, we saw him in the first game Saturday, pitched an inning in relief. He was with 3 clubs in 1971, the Cubs, San Diego, and the Pirates. He's pitched in 2 previous series, both for the Dodgers in 65 and 66. This year he won 8, lost 5, an excellent earned run average of 1.64. There they drive by Frank Robinson, sinking into right center. And Robinson now has had 3 singles and 4 times out. The Orioles have had 11 hits. Ellie Hendricks has been on all 3 times. A walk, he's been hit by a pitch ball, and he's singled in a run. And Robinson is going to be given a rest, and Paul Blair goes into replacement. A big hand for Frank Robinson as he goes into the Baltimore dugout. With a 10-run lead, Earl Weaver lifts Frank Robinson. Paul Blair running for him at first. That ball slapped to left by Ellie Hendricks. He's been on base 4 times. Here comes Blair to third. The throw goes to second. The Orioles have runners on first and third. Hendricks beating the ship, poking the ball through the hole to left. And it doesn't seem to make much difference to the Orioles who the Pirates bring in. Brooks Robinson has single, walked and singled. He scored 2 runs. He's knocked in 2. Runners on first and third. Nobody out in the last of the 6th. 10-0 Baltimore, and you're threatening again. A ball. Dave Leonard, a right-hander, Grant Jackson, a left-hander, are warming up. And Chuck, I wonder if they might lift Jim Palmer. With a big lead, he's thrown a lot of pitches. If the series goes 6-7 games, they may want him fresh for another start. I don't know.
That's a good possibility. Leonard, of course, has done well in relief for Baltimore this year, and Jackson from the National League exceptionally well.
Ball 2. Palmer is throwing a normal game today. 121 pitches he's delivered in 6 innings. It'll be just about par for him in a 9-inning game. 2 balls and a strike. 3-1 for Brooks Robinson. Blair at third. Hendricks at first. Base hit up the middle by Brooks Robinson. In the score is Paul Blair. 11-0 Baltimore. And Brooks Robinson now has knocked in 3 runs with 3 singles and a walk. Picking right up where he left off last year when he dominated the World Series like no man ever has. Babe Ruth one year hit .625 in a World Series. Pepper Martin, of course, had a great World Series when the Cards beat the A's in 31, and then Brooks Robinson last year, probably the 3 outstanding performances outside of pitchers. Dave Johnson has 2 hits in 3 times. That's a strike to him. Runners on first and second, nobody out. 13 hits for the Orioles. And that high curve, oh, Miller was lucky on that one. Hung right over the plate. Dave Johnson nods his head and says, "Boy, I should have had that one." He was a little too far in front of it. 2 strikes to Dave Johnson. Johnson stung the ball today, lined into a double play in the second. There's a smash into left field. Foul. This is almost like batting practice for the Orioles.
You've heard that old trite expression so many times, Curt. You're never as good as you look when you're winning, and you're never as bad as you look when you're losing. This is just one of those games for the Pirates. They've been in the other end of a few games like this, and the Orioles have also been in the other end of a few like this.
2 strikes to Dave Johnson. A ball to him. Remember the 1960 World Series. The Pirates were beaten in 3 games, 16-3, 10-0, and 12-0, and yet still won that World Series. Look him out. That was one of the weirdest World Series of all. The Yankees doubled the run output of the Pirates in the series, and yet were beaten. Well, the Pirate fans can remember those 3 lopsided defeats and take some heart. So they still pull that 60 series out. Mark Belanger lined to the pitcher and walked twice. He scored a run. Runners on first and second, 1 down. Big chopper hit out towards second. Steps on the bag, Cash, throws to first, no. Over to third is Hendricks. Force out at second on Brooks Robinson. And Robinson got a hand when he went in with a hard slide at second. The Orioles do the little things very well. They cover first base with pitchers. They slide hard into the bases. They back up the bases. They hit the relay men, the cutoff men. Well schooled in fundamentals. There's a ground ball stabbed by the first baseman Robertson, and that's it. Jim Palmer nearly had himself another run batted in. 1 run for the Orioles. 3 hits. There were no errors. 2 left. And at the end of 6, it's Baltimore 11 and Pittsburgh nothing.
The fine breaking ball, and that's what Palmer has been trying to do effectively all game. In the last inning, he has gotten a couple of them in.
Bob Robertson has walked, struck out a walk. 2 down, runners on first and third. Top of the 7th, 11-0 Baltimore, and it's ball 1 to Bob Robertson. Tomorrow, Steve Blass against Mike Cuellar. Blass the right-hander, Cuellar the left-hander. Ball 2, 2-0. Ball still popping into the mid of Ellie Hendricks. You can hear it all over the ballpark. From Palmer. That live fastball of his, 2-0. Boy, he's had an odd shutout so far, Chuck.
I'm remembering a game a couple of years ago. Sam McDowell pitched against Baltimore. He shut him out on 3 hits and threw 196 pitches.
Strike 2. 2-2 to Bob Robertson. McNally struck out 9 Saturday. That's Hebner in third. Palmer struck out 9 today. That's Stargell on first. The World Series record held by Bob Gibson. 17 strikeouts in the game. 2-2 delivery. And there's a 10th strikeout for Jim Palmer. He now struck out 6 in the last 3 innings. No runs for the Pirates. 1 hit, no errors, 2 left. And at the end of 6.5, it's Baltimore 11, Pittsburgh nothing. Now, a word on behalf of Major League Baseball. The great majority of major leaguers develop their skills in America's far-flung youth baseball program, which starts with Little League, extends through the summer leagues for college players. Professional baseball contributes hundreds of thousands of dollars to help these splendid youngsters in their baseball program. Switch hitting Don Buford up. He has not hit safely today. He's 0 for 4. Bounding ball to Bob Robertson. Easy play, 1 down. Belanger doesn't have a base hit either. Or the pitcher, Palmer. Retman's up now. He's had 2 hits in 4 times. Powell's had a single. Frank Robinson 3 hits. Ellie Hendricks 2 hits. Brooks Robinson 3 hits. Dave Johnson 2 hits. Bob Miller pitching to Merv Retman. Ball 1. Two and nothing. It's interesting to hear Frank Robinson's statements Saturday, Chuck. He said, I don't know whether I'd have had the patience of Merv Retman to be a part-time player with the ability he has. But he did what they asked him to do. Bounding ball to Hernandez. Right on target, 2 down. Boog Powell 1 hit, a single in 4 times. Baltimore ahead 11 to nothing. Last of the 7. And the shift on, 3 infielders on the right side, the outfield deep and toward right. And he pops it up. The high foul, Sanguillen settling under it. A quick 1-2-3 inning for Bob Miller. At the end of 7, it's Baltimore 11, Pittsburgh nothing. Chuck Thompson, Toni Kubek heading into the 8th inning. Manny Sanguillen, Jack Hernandez, and then the pitcher. Sanguillen has singled, grounded out, struck out. Jim Palmer. Bounding ball. Great stop by Brooks Robinson. There's one hit third. Well, I was just about to say base hit, but you know, never to do that with Brooks Robinson.
Now let's look at it again. It's something you have seen before, but for the first time in this 1971 World Series, the Golden Glove, the brilliance of Baltimore third baseman Brooks Robinson. And now let's take a look at Brooks all alone. And remember now that he does everything with his left hand. That is to say, he writes with his left hand, eats with his left hand, throws with the right, and bats right.
Ball 1. I want to be left-handed. Perform like that. 1 out, nobody on. One ball, 1 strike. Brooks Robinson has had 3 hits. Each hit driving in a run, a walk today, and has made the fielding play of the game. Ball 2. Chuck Thompson can tell you better than anyone. Unless you've been to this town, you just don't realize how popular Brooks is here.
There's never been an athlete in the city nearly as popular as Brooks Robinson.
Right. Does that include Johnny U?
I would say that includes Johnny U.
Well, they've both been great champs, Johnny Unitas and Brooks Robinson, here in this city of Baltimore. Right now is housing the 2 world champs, the Orioles and the Colts. Ball 3, 3-2 to Jackie Hernandez. 1 away in the 8th, 11-0 in favor of Baltimore. And Jim Palmer has just walked his 8th man and is still pitching a shutout. Bob Miller, the pitcher's due up. Dave Cash is on deck, but he's scheduled to hit. Davalillo is coming up. Vic Davalillo to hit for Bob Miller. Will have a new Pirate pitcher, Dave Justy, in the last of the 8th inning. Eleven runs, 13 hits for the Orioles. No runs, 5 hits for the Pirates.
Curt, while we wait, there's a cute little story about Jim Palmer and World Series nerves. They said, you know, are you nervous yesterday before the rain out? He said, you bet I was. So nervous that I didn't want to drive. So I asked Dave Leonard to drive me to the ballpark. He said, after riding with Dave Leonard, I was too nervous to pitch.
Baltimore fans getting on Davalillo. for taking too much time. Davey hit .285 this season. He was .333 as a pinch hitter. The Orioles had a run in the second, 3 in the fourth, a big 6-run fifth inning, another run in the sixth. The Pirates have left 12 the first 7 innings. Now they have another run on here in the 8th. That's right. They just have not been able to crack Palmer with a big hit. One ball, one strike to Vic Davey. Bounds it over the head of Robinson, who was drawn in against the left-hander. Davey purposely went that way. So the Pirates have runners on first and second, one out. Top of the order, Dave Cash. Grounded hard to short, flied to center, flied to left, grounded out to first. 0 for 4. Fly ball, center field. Paul Blair. Runners are playing at halfway. 2 down. Runners return. Richie Hebner has walked, grounded out, struck out, walked. Both Palmer and McNally have bested their seasonal average for strikeouts. There's a fly ball, hit the deep right. And this one is sailing up and in for a home run. And the Pirates are on the scoreboard in the 8th inning. Richie Hebner of Norwood, Massachusetts, hit 2 homers in the playoffs with the Giants and bangs a 3-run homer in the top of the 8th to spoil Palmer's shutout. That makes it now 11-3 Baltimore.
And let's take another look at the home run swing of Hebner. He did it 17 times in the regular season. Good slow motion look, and watch the outstanding contact. That ball was right out there where he wanted it, right out over the plate and down below the waist.
Well, the Pirates predict that it won't be too long. Some year he'll be hitting 30, 35 homers a year. Roberto Clemente, 2 hits in 4 times. There are 2 outs, bases empty. Palmer's averaged 6 strikeouts a year this season. Today, he struck out 9. McNally had averaged just a little over 3 strikeouts, and he struck out 9 his opening day. Ball 1. Now we have in the bullpen
Watt and Pete Rickard.
Watt the right-hander, Rickard the left-hander. Checking Palmer, 10 strikeouts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Clemente fouls it off. Ten strikeouts for Palmer. The 2-1 pitch. Bounding ball. Belanger can't handle it and back a second. Clemente's on. Belanger was shading second base against Clemente. He's been hitting the right field in this series so far. They have scored an error on Belanger. The official scores. Earl Weaver sitting on top of an 8-run lead. Willie Stargell has struck out, walked twice in singles. We have 3 official scorers in the World Series. Bob Stevens of the San Francisco Chronicle, Bill Jackman of the Baltimore Evening Sun, and Charlie Feeney of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Foul back. 1 ball, 1 strike to Stargell. 11-3. Baltimore ahead in the top of the 8th. 2-2 count to Willie Stargell.
And Curt, that's the second time today that plate umpire Ed Sudol's been hit a real wallop with a foul tip. And happily, he seems to be okay.
Two pitch coming up. Get out to second baseman Johnson. The flip to Belanger for the force on Clemente. 3 runs in for Pittsburgh. 2 hits, 1 Baltimore error, 1 man left. We're going to the last of the 8th inning. Baltimore 11, Pittsburgh 3.
Someone you know needs the USO. The GIs in the armed forces come from every community, including yours. Serving with them are Red Cross and USO. And how much they do is up to you. Support them with your fair share to your United Way campaign in your community. If you don't do it, it won't get done.
The new pitcher for Pittsburgh is Dave Justy. A new left fielder, Vic Davalillo. Willie Stargell is out. And Justy will hit in the number 4 spot. Vic Davalillo in left. Dave Justy, who had 30 saves this year for the Pirates. Appeared in 58 games, won 5, lost 6. He led the National League in saves. He's 31 years old. He was born in Seneca Falls, New York. Tomorrow we'll be on at 12:30. Joe Garagiola and Sandy Koufax with World Series report. And then at 12:45 we'll be at the ballpark in Pittsburgh to start our coverage of Game 3 of the World Series. And then remember, Wednesday night, some history is going to be made. The first night game in World Series history, starting at 7:30 Eastern Daylight Time, Wednesday night, Game 4 of the World Series. Paul Blair is up for his first time. He replaced Frank Robinson after Robinson had 3 hits and 4 times. Strike. Paul Blair was the leading hitter in the 70 World Series with a .474 average, 9 out of 19. He hasn't started either of the 2 games in this series. A ball and a strike. Herb Rettman replaced him at the starter. Ellie Hendricks on deck. There's a drive into left center by Blair. Davalillo up with it, back in. "14 hits for the Orioles. They're leading 11-3 in the last of the 8th. Hendricks has had a perfect day. He's walked, he's been hit by a pitch ball, he's singled in a run, and he's singled to left in the 6th. He has scored 2 runs. The Orioles have had 14 hits, an oddity, all singles. Fly ball out to Al Oliver in deep right center. Hauls it in, and there's 1 out. Here's that man now, Brooks Robinson. Single a run in the 2nd. Walked in the 4th. Single a run in the 5th. Single a run in the 6th. Listen to the hand point. And made the fielding play of the ball game. I'd like to be his campaign manager. 1 out. Blair at first. Ball 1. Dave Johnson on deck. That great play he made was his only fielding chance today. Ball 2. Here it is again, Chuck.
And this is the outstanding play that Brooks made a little earlier in the ball game on Manny Sanguillen in the top of the 8th inning. Just a brilliant, brilliant play from Brooks Robinson.
2 balls and no strikes to Brooks Robinson. Strike in the inside corner to him. 2-1. I remember when he first came up from Arkansas. He worked on his weaknesses.
And the gentleman who is coaching at first base for Baltimore, George Staller, is a man who some years ago recommended to the Orioles, this fellow will not make it as a second baseman. We'd better try him at third. Pretty good idea.
All right, 3-1 to Brooks Robinson. And he's been on now 5 times in a row. Runners on first and second, 1 out. Dave Johnson has had 2 hits and 4 times, knocked in a run, scored a run. Blair at second, Brooks Robinson at first, 1 out, last of the 8th, 11-3 Baltimore. A high fly down the left field line. Davalillo over there. 2 down. The runners hold. Brooks Robinson has tied a World Series record, most times reaching first base safely in a 9-inning game. 5. Babe Ruth did it on October 10th in the 1926 series, and Lou Brock for the Cardinals in the 67 series with 4 singles and a walk. Brooks Robinson's reached first 5 times in this game to tie an all-time World Series record. Babe Ruth had a home run and 4 walks in one game, a 9-inning game in the 26 series. Brooks Robinson today has had 3 singles and 2 walks. He's tied a record. Mark Belanger, 0 for 2, drives it foul. Ball and a strike to Mark Belanger. That's Paul Blair at second. Brooks Robinson at first. Now in the record books with Babe Ruth and Lou Brock. 1 ball, 1 strike. Foul again. Robinson seems to, for the last 2 World Series, he had only 1 hit in 19 times up in the 69 series against the Mets. But he's had a couple of series the way Lou Brock did for the Cardinals in 67 and 68. Brock stole 7 bases in each series. Every time you looked up, he was doing something. 1 ball, 2 strikes. There are 2 down. 11-3 Baltimore. 2-2 the count to Belanger. And the Pirates' last hope will be Oliver, Robertson, and Sanguillen in the top of the 9th. Pops it up. Bob Robertson settling under it. And that's all for the Orioles in the 8th. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, 2 left. We're going to the 9th inning with a score. The Baltimore Orioles 11, the Pittsburgh Pirates 3. Earl Weaver now has lifted Jim Palmer, and on the pitch is Dick Hall. While he warms up, here's Toni.
Curt, I'm certain at this point, and Chuck up there, that the Pittsburgh Pirates count themselves out of this ball game, although they do have a little psychological lift being able to knock Palmer out, who struggled along this whole ball game. Tomorrow's scheduled pitchers will be Mike Cuellar for the Orioles and Steve Blass of the Pirates. And you know the complexion of this game could change somewhat because they'll be moving on to artificial surface. You won't see some of the great plays that a Brooks Robinson might make because the ball gets by you a little more quickly. And also with Cuellar, a screwball pitcher who keeps the ball down low in the strike zone, that artificial surface could be a factor. Some of those ground balls off Cuellar might go through. So the Pirates do have some hope. They're going back to their hometown, and they want to pick up some victories there. Let's go upstairs.
And the Pirates have been an outstanding home team this year. They led the National League in most home victories, winning 52 games in their own ballpark. So they'll have Blass going tomorrow against Cuellar. Wednesday night, the first night game in history, 7:30, Wednesday night, Eastern Daylight Time. Tomorrow's game, NBC will start coverage at 12:30 Eastern Daylight Time. Dick Hall, who turned 41 years old at the end of the season, will face Al Oliver, Bob Robertson, and Manny Sanguillen. Pirates 8 runs down. Hall is one of the best control pitchers of the game. He throws strikes. Oliver's 0 for 4. Change, ball 1, strike 1. We were just trying to figure when the last time we saw Brooks Robinson play a bad game, and Chuck Thompson reminded me. There's a drive into right field for a base hit. I think it was a year ago. We were doing a Monday night game on our Game of the Week series on NBC. Robinson made 2 errors. 1 ball went through his legs. He dropped the pop-up. He struck out, what, Chuck, 2 or 3 times?
I think he struck out 3 times. And I'm not going to play, can you top this? But would you believe it? Brooks Robinson committed 3 errors in 1 inning this summer in this ballpark.
But the thing about that Monday night game, it was an anniversary party. His wife was holding it home, and his folks were there, and they all wanted to watch Brooks play. And he said, what a show I put on for him. Oh, he's made up for that, though, in the World Series the last 2 years. In the playoffs. About a 500 hitter in the playoffs. 1 ball, no strikes to Bob Robertson. He struck out twice. He's walked twice. It's a high pop. Davey Johnson calling for it and back of second. 1 down. Manny Sanguillen, a single, grounded out, struck out, robbed of a hit by Brooks Robinson in the 8th. 1 out of 4. 11-3 Baltimore in the top of the 9th. Jim Palmer struck out 10, walked 8. He was wild today. He had a shutout until the 8th inning when Richie Hebner tagged him for a 3-run homer. Foul back. Well, unless the Pirates rally, Jim Palmer will get his 3rd World Series victory against 1 defeat. A ball and a strike. Dick Hall is a mathematician.
He is a CPA. That is correct, Curt. And that off-speed pitch you're watching, he calls it a slip pitch.
Foul back. 1-2. Our statistician on the World Series is Alan Roth. Our production stage manager is Jim O'Gorman. To Johnson. 1. Back. No. Forced out at second. Davey Johnson to Mark Belanger. And we're going to have a pinch hitter, Milt May. A young catcher, he's only 21 years old, who really has a tremendous amount of ability. Outside of 2 or 3 clubs in the majors, bench with Cincinnati, maybe Hundley with the Cubs, Sanguillen with this club, he'd be catching regular. After thinking of moving Sanguillen. A strike, maybe to the outfield. Try and get both May and Sanguillen in the lineup. No balls, 1 strike, 2 down. Sanguillen at first. 1-1. Dick Hall trying to nail down this final out that will give Baltimore a 2-game lead in the World Series. And their 16th win in a row. Up with it is Boop Powell to Dick Hall. A ball over. As the Orioles roll into an 11-3 win today. And lead now 2-0. Jim Palmer is the winner. And the losing pitcher, the starter, Bob Johnson. So our final score, Baltimore 11 and Pittsburgh 3.